All right, let's dive right in. We're kicking things off with the very first sign of the zodiac, Aries, the ram. And we're going to explore both sides of the coin here, the brilliant, fiery light, and some of the surprising shadows. So, here's the big question we're tackling today. Is an Aries that natural-born leader everyone looks up to, with that unstoppable energy? Or does that exact same fire hide something a little more sinister? Maybe the makings of a dangerous tyrant?
Okay, so to even begin to answer that, we got to go back to the beginning. Let's break down the fundamentals. What really makes an Aries, well, an Aries?
Okay, so at its absolute core, Aries is a cardinal fire sign. What does that even mean, right? Well, cardinal just means they're the initiators. They're the ones who get the ball rolling. And fire, well, that's all about passion, energy, and drive. You put those together, and you get a personality that's all about starting things with this incredible burst of raw, unfiltered impulse. And this energy gets its flavor from a few key things. You've got the ram, right? That totally captures their head-on, no-nonsense approach to life. Then there's their ruling planet, Mars, the planet of war, which is where all that competitive drive comes from. And it all happens in the first house of self, meaning their own identity is front and center. Mix all that up, and bam, you get someone who's super competitive, impulsive, always ready for action, and yeah, surprisingly playful. Now, when all of those pieces click together just right, you get something truly amazing. You get the fiery leader. This is the Aries archetype that everybody just seems to admire, the one we all know. I mean, that powerful, strong-willed independence, that is the absolute hallmark of the Aries spirit. They just come alive when they're tackling new goals and feel like they're in the driver's seat of their own life. And it's really interesting. It's the effect this has on other people. That bold, confident, leader-like vibe just naturally pulls people in. It creates this intense admiration. The source material even calls them the fangirls/boys. People who are just completely captivated by that fiery energy and optimism. So it totally makes sense who they click with, right? The people who get along best with an Aries are the ones who can actually keep up with them. We're talking signs that can match that high-octane energy and love for adventure. So you'll often see them pairing up with fellow fire signs like Leo and Sagittarius, or air signs like Gemini and Aquarius who can fan their flames. Okay, but let's be real. That intense, fiery energy, it's not always perfect. It can be a lot to handle, and that can lead to some pretty common everyday flaws. So let's flip the coin and take a look at the cracks in the armor. First thing on the list? Oh yeah, the legendary Aries temper. It's like this classic two-step dance. Step 1, a sudden, massive, fiery explosion. But then step 2, poof, the anger is gone just as fast as it showed up. Seriously, they might not even remember what they were so mad about 5 minutes later. And that impulsivity shows up in other ways too, like having zero filter whatsoever, or thinking that everything is a game that they absolutely have to win. And, oh yeah, they will do almost anything on a dare. I mean, it can be fun for sure, but if you're the one dealing with it all the time, it can get a little frustrating. But look, those are just the surface level things, right? The little habits that might annoy a friend. But what happens when that same core intensity, that same impulsivity and constant need for a challenge, what happens when that turns inward? What's really lurking deeper in the shadows of this personality? And this is where our story takes a really unexpected and honestly kind of creepy turn. The source material suggests that when an Aries' intense focus isn't aimed at a goal or a competition, it can lock onto, well, life's ultimate mystery. According to the source, the single creepiest habit of an Aries is they're always thinking about death. Just let that sink in for a second. It's a pretty stark claim, and it totally reframes that fiery life force we were just talking about. And we're not just talking about a passing thought here. The claim is that this is a deep-seated obsession. It branches out into all sorts of other grim topics, their own death, the death of people they love, even a fascination with things like murder, killers, ghosts, and what happens in the afterlife. So, how does all of this connect? How does it build up to the most negative version of an Aries? Well, this is where that incredible, vibrant leadership starts to curdle. It transforms into its shadow self, the tyrant. And this chart really lays it out perfectly. It shows you the two sides of that same coin. What was once strong-willed in the leader becomes just plain stubborn in the tyrant. The leader's drive to tackle new goals gets twisted into just wanting everything. And that amazing passion and energy,
It sours, and they become never satisfied. And this quote from the source just hits the nail on the head. It really gets to the core of what drives this shadow self. It's this constant, gnawing hunger for more, a state where you're never satisfied, and nothing is ever, ever good enough.
Okay, and this is where the claims get really, really dramatic. The source material brings up an FBI profile, and it says this combination of sheer stubbornness and that lightning fast temper can make an Aries genuinely dangerous. We're talking about the potential to commit crimes, literally on a whim.
And the logic behind this profile, it all comes back to their core traits, that absolute refusal to be told what to do, that inability to back down or soften their stance. Well, in a criminal context, that apparently makes them the perfect mercenary for hire, someone who is totally unstoppable and can't be swayed. And that brings us full circle, right back to where we started. The ram is a symbol of incredible, raw power. There's no doubt about it. But the real question is that fiery energy a tool for leadership, something to forge new paths and inspire people, or is it a weapon, driven by pure selfish will? It seems the answer isn't black or white. It's all in that delicate balance between the light and the shadow.